me for another episode of What's That All About? So today we're going to be looking back in history a little bit, and we're going to be checking out how past presidents correlated with or had kind of interactions with alien disclosure and what they wanted. We had quite a few presidents actually that they really wanted to know. We had one president that I'll tell you about that really just was too busy to care and wanted to focus what was happening here on Earth and wasn't so much up in the sky about things. But anyway, I'm going to start right away because I have kind of a lot going on here. The first president to be part of the alien conspiracy, if you want to call it that, was Harry S. Truman. And his involvement started at the infamous Roswell, New Mexico crash. Now, since presidential records weren't kept the same way as they are today, confidentially, there are quite a few holes in the timeline. One hole that is not up for debate is the fact that anyone who was at the crash site read into the crash information in any way, shape, or form was told as a directive from Harry S. Truman to his top Secret Service agent, Gerald McCann, to ensure that anyone everybody who was involved would never, ever, indefinitely not talk about what they saw, what they know, whatever. Didn't matter. So at that point, you've got it's almost like the start button on that conspiracy. Now, there were other crashes before Roswell that I've learned, and I may actually go back to those in future episodes, but for today, we're just going to be starting with Harry S. Truman and going from there. So next up, this one disturbed me just a little bit. It's actually in my book, too, my UFO book, but I'm not even going to hold it up. This one's in regards to Dwight Eisenhower. Now, his great-granddaughter, Laura, has confirmed that he met with aliens in 1954 at Edwards Air Force Base, and he signed I'll air quote this, peace treaty of sorts. She is quoted as saying, "What I've learned about Eisenhower's relationship to extraterrestrial beings and extraterrestrial government treaties is that supposedly in 1954, he had that meeting that I just told you about, and they seem to have diplomatic intentions, the extraterrestrials did. Now, the treaty had to do with a bartering exchange of planetary goods, natural resources, elements, and compounds. Now, it was in exchange for things like abduction." Did you hear me? Yeah. So the treaty involved allowing the aliens to continue to abduct, to study us. And it's because she believes that they need our DNA. And for things like, basically, we're a treasure trove of DNA, and every living thing on Earth has, its own, we're a living library. And part of the deal was that they, continue to do what they need to do to learn about the secrets of the universe. Whatever that means, I would love to know. But they believe that that's where the secrets lie. And Eisenhower, I don't really think he had much of a choice. Let's think about what they have access to and what we don't have access to. I don't really think he was in a position to be very flexible about that. Now, President Jimmy Carter, now he was into it and fascinated by UFOs and alien everything because he had a sighting himself. Okay, in 1969. Now, his son thinks it might have been earlier, but for argument's sake, we'll just say 1969. But in 1973, Carter he even filed a report, a UFO report, and he detailed his whatever happened, and he filed it in Oklahoma at a location he still can't remember, which, really? Anyway, while running for president, he made 2 separate references to releasing the UFO files. Now, once he gets to the White House, all the information was supposedly, anything he could get his hands on, he was going to release. Big problem with that. Anything we have today, though, it should be noted, does come mostly from the Carter administration. Thank you, President Carter. Ever the humanitarian. God bless him. But Carter had his chief of staff go to actually the FBI and NASA, which bad timing on that because he had just cut the NASA budget. But anyway, he was basically asking them to write up a report about how UFO reports or witnessed, any witnesses or anything like that, how are they documented? How is it, tracked? And the CIA stepped in and told NASA to cease, desist all activities surrounding the UFO phenomena and not to do 1 ounce of work. And right there and then, everything just kind of got shut down. So that sucks because he really would have been a huge advocate for what's out there. Still is, probably. This is more of a fun fact about Ronald Reagan, who also had a big affinity for the UFOs, which I think is great. But this is light. He had so much of a fascination that he invited Steven Spielberg, the director of the movie E.T., he invited him to a screening at the White House and with other people and stuff. And they're watching it, and he leaned over. In the middle of the movie, he leaned over and he said to Steven Spielberg, I bet you 6 people in this room don't know how true this is. I mean, Steven Spielberg has confirmed that he said this. I would have lost my mind. Because he's got to know something. It's like, holy crap, that's awesome. Anyway, next up is Clinton. Now, Clinton, he loves, to this day, any conversation there is out there, he will hop into it. He wants to know it. He wants to talk about disclosure. He wants to talk about aliens and conspiracies and everything. Roswell, especially Roswell. So Clinton asked the Air Force to reinvestigate Roswell. That's how serious he took this. And in 1994, witnesses to Roswell were cleared by Clinton to disclose what they knew with no fear of retribution. So Clinton gets the final report in 1995, okay? He goes to Belfast during this time, Ireland, and he makes a speech. Now, he's there to light a Christmas tree. It's like November 30th of 1995. And there had been a letter writing contest with the children that were going to be there, and they were going to pick the winners. Well, 2 of the winners were up on the stage with him, and he was supposed to read the letters to the crowd, but he didn't read those letters to the crowd. Instead, he read a letter that has since gone missing. Okay? That's an official presidential document. You'd think that they're pretty hard to go missing, since you're not supposed to take them. But I digress. It's kind of unheard of, though, and it's illegal if anyone takes them. Anyway, the letter was from someone named Ryan. So he's quoted as saying, Ryan, if you're out there in the audience tonight, here's the answer to your question. No, as far as I know, a UFO did not crash in Roswell, New Mexico, but it did. If it did, and they recovered bodies, they didn't tell me about it, and I want to know. Now, in 1995, the Roswell report provided to Clinton made no mention of bodies. Clinton followed up on that, and he wanted to know why they weren't mentioned. So a second Roswell report was commissioned, and it was released in 1997, and it was called Case Closed. Oh, that's not good. And then that report is where they talked about the dummies being dropped from planes and that people misidentified dummies for aliens because apparently the government thinks that we're dummies. Give me a break. But anyway, there was a reporter that asked him during this, when he got the report, he just said, if there's something there, they're not telling me. I don't know why. Now, keep in mind that presidents, everybody really in the government, are temporary, other than the Supreme Court, I guess, but are temporary employees, right? Now, I guess there's got to be a level of confidentiality in some regards, because I'm sure Clinton believes there's a government within our government making bigger decisions about these sorts of things. I'll touch back on that in a second. Kind of interesting, but President Obama, okay, we're going to move on to him because he's too cool for school, right? He was asked twice while he was campaigning for president. And the first time he was asked was if by a reporter if he was going to end the ET embargo on information. And the response for the first time was that they were concerned about ending the embargo on information coming out of Iraq. Yeah. The second time was in October of 2007, where Obama was at a debate in Philly, and he was asked if he believed in life outside of Earth, to which he replied, "I really don't know. I don't pretend to know." God, he's just so cool. What I do know is that there's life here on Earth, and we're not taking care of it. Wow. And then a reporter did ask him that if he gets to the White House and he finds out that there are extraterrestrials, would he disclose it to the people? To which Obama replies, so typical, "Well, it depends what the aliens are like. Are they Democrats or Republicans?" So basically he evaded the question just like a political pro, But, there's a conspiracy theory that's out there that I was just mentioning, that there's a government within a government, okay? And Dr. Stephen Greer actually talks about this a lot, and I've mentioned him before. He's part of the Disclosure Project. And, he, like I said, he mentions too the whole fact that presidents are not in office for life, but there are certain presidents that are told a little bit more, or the information is varied due to their level of open-mindedness, consciousness. They really are read in more if they're more apt to be level-headed about the information and not just, kind of go off like a bomb about it. You need cool heads. You need adults, responsible adults, or to the best of their ability to be responsible adults in the White House. So, there's a lot of records out there. There's things called oral histories in the presidential libraries and such. But these oral histories, not one of these conversations at one time do they have any record of anything extraterrestrial, anything alien being talked about. How is that possible? Oh, yeah, that's right. They hide stuff from us. That's right. I forgot. Duh. Bottom line, in my opinion anyway, the public, us, Joe Public here, I think we know about 3%, roughly 3% of what's really out there. And if I'm being honest, I think that presidents know about 15%, depending on which one it is and where they're at, not mentally, but like where they're at in their beliefs and such. But, I think we're just going to have to wait and see what the aliens say when they get here and let us know what happens after that, because, we have no hope of getting any straightforward answers from government, let's be honest. But I hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, please stay happy and healthy and stay weird and take care. Thanks.